There's a smell that only real speed can make. It's not gasoline, it's fear and burning fiberglass. Mojave Desert 1989. A white wedge of carbon and Kevlar sits trembling on the tarmac. The driver flips the ignition. The turbos spool up, and the Vector W8 screams like a jet about to break orbit. Within seconds, it's doing 200 miles an hour inside the cockpit. Digital gauges flicker. The temperature needle climbs. And by the time he returns, the body panels are melting from the heat. Jerry Wiegert, the man who built this insane machine, just smiles and says, "Good, that means it's working." Welcome back to Hidden Car Gems, the channel where we talk about cars that make absolutely no sense. And today we're talking about America's forgotten jet fighter, a twin-turbo monster born from obsession, ego, and a dream so wild that even Ferrari and Lamborghini started to pay attention. This is the Vector W8, and later in this video you'll see how it burned brighter than anything on Earth and took its creator down with it. To understand the Vector, you need to understand Jerry Wiegert. He wasn't corporate, he wasn't backed by billions, he was a madman with a wrench, a sketchbook, and an obsession with fighter jets. In the mid-1970s, he decided America deserved its own supercar. Not a Corvette, not a Mustang, something that could humiliate the Italians on their own turf. He founded Vector Aeromotive in a tiny Los Angeles workshop. For over a decade, he sketched, machined, and hustled investors, surviving on caffeine and pure delusion. His slogan said it all: for the few who own the sky. He wasn't building a car. He was building a weapon. By 1989, that weapon had a name: Vector W8 Twin Turbo, a 625 horsepower aerospace fever dream that looked like a stealth bomber crash-landed on Rodeo Drive. And later in this video, you'll see how that dream, the same arrogance, became the very reason it all fell apart. Under the rear hatch sat a 6-liter Rodec aluminum V8. Basically a racing small block with two turbos the size of your head. It pumped out 625 horsepower and 649 pound-feet of torque. Through a 3-speed automatic that was one bad day away from suicide, Jerry claimed 242 miles per hour top speed. Official tests still hit 218 miles per hour, faster than any Ferrari or Lambo at the time. Chassis? Aluminum honeycomb. The body? Carbon fiber and Kevlar. The floor? Literally aerospace honeycomb panels. This thing was built like a jet, not a car. Step inside and you entered another world. CRT screens, glowing green numbers, toggle switches everywhere, a start button that looked like it could launch missiles. It didn't comfort you, it challenged you. The Vector wasn't a car you drove. It was a car that you survived. And later, you'll see how that fighter jet attitude became the exact reason it couldn't survive the real world. Before we go deeper, let me get real for a second. I started Hidden Car Gems because stories like this get lost. A guy gives everything, his money, his time, his sanity, to build something the world said was impossible. And then everyone forgets him. If you still believe passion matters more than profit, if you think cars should have soul and not just sensors, hit that subscribe button right now. Let's make sure machines like this one are never forgotten again. By 1990, production finally started. Each Vector took more than 1,200 hours to build and cost about $45,000, a fortune in the early 90s. Only a handful of mechanics worked on them, hand-fitting every panel like it was a spacecraft. For a brief moment, the dream worked. Magazines called it America's Countach. Car and driver said it looked like a fighter jet mated with a DeLorean. Celebrities lined up. Andre Agassi bought one, Mike Tyson wanted one, even members of royal families placed orders. America finally had its own hypercar. But later in the video, you'll see what happened when one of those celebrity cars caught fire, and the press turned on Jerry overnight. For now, life was good. Jerry strutted around in aviator shades, telling reporters his car was built to aerospace tolerances. He wasn't entirely wrong, but he was about to find out that aerospace tolerances don't mix with Beverly Hills customers. By 1992, the issues were unavoidable. The W8 was lightning fast and borderline undrivable. It overheated in traffic. The gearbox slipped, electronics glitched. Andre Agassi returned his car, furious after it cooked itself in Vegas heat. Jerry's reply? It's not a grocery getter. Each car was unique, hand-tuned, chaotic. Some buyers loved that, most didn't. And while Jerry was fighting journalists, his bank account was bleeding out. He believed he was misunderstood. The genius fighting the system. But the truth? He was running out of time and out of friends. Enter the Wiegert Group, an Indonesian investment firm. They promised funding, marketing, and expansion. Jerry thought he'd found salvation. Instead, he signed his death warrant. In 1993, he arrived at his factory to find security guards at the door. They told him he no longer owned Vector. His own company had kicked him out. They seized his prototypes, his designs, even his desk. Jerry begged to buy it back, but it was gone. And what happened next? You'll want to see this, because it's one of the coldest corporate betrayals in car history. The new owners tried to keep the brand alive. They launched the Vector M12, a bloated Lamborghini-powered shadow of the original. It was slow, heavy, and pathetic. Everything the W8 refused to be. The automotive press destroyed it. Buyers walked away. Within a few years, Vector was bankrupt again, this time for good. Jerry spent the rest of his life fighting lawsuits, appealing for ownership, and sketching comeback concepts nobody would fund. Even after losing everything, he never gave up. He showed up at car shows with new renderings, claiming the next Vector would top 1,000 horsepower. He was laughed at, ignored, but he never stopped believing. He died in 2021, still calling the W8 the best car ever built. And maybe in his own insane way, he was right. The Vector W8 wasn't just a car. It was America's middle finger to Europe. He said, "We can do this too." And louder. It broke down, it overheated, it melted. But when it ran, nothing on earth could touch it. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't practical, but it was honest. It was every ounce of American ego turned into aluminum and boost. Only 19 cars were built, each slightly different, each a rolling reminder of what happens when ambition burns hotter than reason. And if you think that sounds crazy, wait till you see the final minutes of this video, because the ending to the story is pure cinematic tragedy. Today, Vector W8 sits in private collections and museums. When one fires up, crowds gather instantly. People still can't believe something that wild was built in America. It looks alien even now. All edges and attitude, no apologies. It reminds us of a time when car builders were cowboys, not corporations. Most companies chase safety and profit. Jerry Wiegert chased immortality, and he caught a glimpse of it before it killed him. He once said, "You can't make history by being reasonable." And he didn't. He made a 625 horsepower dream that flew too close to the sun. The Vector W8 was too ambitious to live, too beautiful to forget, and too insane to ever happen again. If you made it this far, respect. You're officially part of the Hidden Car Gems family. Every like, every comment, and every subscriber helps keep these stories alive. I make these videos because cars like the Vector remind us that logic builds cars, but madness builds legends. So smash that button and share this with someone who still dreams in horsepower. And keep the fire alive. This was the Vector W8, America's forgotten jet fighter, a 625 horsepower fever dream that burned bright and burned out even brighter.